Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video we're testing out the new VOR-TX ammunition manufactured by Barnes. Alright guys, so we have the Barnes VOR-TX ammunition. Now this came out earlier in 2015 and we're testing it now. It's chambered in 5.56 by 45 millimeters, so it's not going to be used in the 223 chambering. We have 70 grain and 62 grain. We're going to be testing this using clear ballistics gelatin. Then we're going to move to the car door simulation and finish it off with the wall simulation for indoor home defense use. So let's take a look at the bare ballistics gelatin test results. We're just going to start off with the 62 grain. Entered the gel, it started expanding at the 2-inch mark, and from that 2-inch mark all the way out to about the 9 or 10-inch mark, we can see a large piece of blackened tissue, which tells us that this round dumped its energy very early. It expanded, and we have a permanent diameter of 0.75 inches, which is quite large for a 223. Now from that 10-inch mark on to its final resting point at the 19-inch mark in the second block of gel, we see a tapering off of the permanent cavity down to an 1/8 of an inch, which tells us that the round did have some velocity, but not enough to create any extra damage in addition to its diameter. So now let's move on to the 70 grain. The 70 grain did a little bit better in my opinion. It entered the gelatin and started expanding immediately instead of waiting 2 inches like the 62 grain. It started creating damage all the way out until that 14-inch mark. You can see a large portion of the block is actually damaged, and the average diameter of that permanent cavity is roughly a 1/2 inch, which is quite substantial. After that 14-inch mark, it tapered down to the 1/8 inch permanent cavity that we saw with the 62 grain, but it penetrated out to 22 inches. Now let's see how they perform against the car door test. So with the car door testing, we had some very interesting results that I did not expect. The 62 grain punched through the car door no problem, entered the gel, expanded, and penetrated out to roughly 19 inches, damaging the gel as it went. The diameter of that permanent cavity was roughly 1/2 inch, and it reached throughout the entire block, so very great performance. Now, we ran into some stabilization issues with the 70 grain. We were using a 1-in-9 twist barrel, and as you probably know, those longer, heavier bullets do not stabilize well with such a slow twist. So, as it would hit the first layer of the car door, it would go completely sideways, which is called keyholing, as it hit the second part of the car door. So shrapnel would enter the block and the bullet wouldn't be able to expand as designed. We had a lack of performance from that 70 grain. We fired several rounds just to ensure that it was a stabilization issue, and it was. So we didn't really get a valid test. It reached out to about 10 inches, a very incoherent result. So we would like to retest this with a 1-in-7 twist or 1-in-8 twist later on. Let's kick it up to the home defense situation where we're going to be testing these rounds against some drywall. Now when we switched to the home defense test, unfortunately we had very similar results. The 62 grain hit the gel sideways, did not expand, and kicked out the side of the block at the 10-inch mark. The 70 grain did the exact same thing, except it made it out to the 12-inch mark. So overall, what does that tell us about this ammunition? It's an outstanding hunting option. I would highly recommend it for that purpose, but for any other purpose, I would go elsewhere. Thanks to Barnes for sending this to us. It's very great hunting ammo, and they were very gracious and very quick to send us this ammunition. If you guys are looking for a tactical version of this ammo, I would recommend the Black Hills 50 grain TSX. It uses the exact same bullet, except it's a little bit lighter weight, which seems to perform a little bit better in our testing. I'll have a link in the description to that test so you guys can judge for yourself if that's what you want to carry. Thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.